Союз нерешимый, Великая Русь. Да здра... Sorry, I couldn't help myself. There's one thing that's actually been pissing me off most of my life, and I eventually decided to make a video about it. And I hope you don't mind. I am a very loyal American on many fronts. I have worked for a couple of three-letter agencies in the past. I'll let you guess which ones those are. I spent an enormous amount of time living in Russia. Lived in Leningrad, which is not St. Petersburg, Vladimir, about 130 километров на север с Москвы. Used to hang out with KGB agents. Oh yes, this is true. This is not hyperbole. Loyal American. Very loyal Americans. And one thing is, and of course every government kind of suffers this, and I have no love of governments. All governments are fundamentally corrupt and way worse than even corrupt, but we don't need to talk about that. I never discuss politics. I try to lead a simple life. Yes? As someone who lived in Russia, настоящие крепкие народы, ты меня слышишь? Ясно. Ясно, как смертный грек. Sorry, there's a little bit of Russian there. As someone who lived in Russia for a long time, yes, and a long time. I've seen a lot in Russia. Seen a lot. I tell you that all this nonsense, poppycock, hooey, baloney, ridiculousness that America spreads about Mother Russia, yes, and бывшего Советского Союза, it's ridiculous. I'm going to just talk about some facts, okay? As someone who knows the Russians, people, yes? Russians are about, and this is, and I can call myself an expert on the Russian people, having lived there for years. I used to be a русско-английский переводчик. Ты слышишь? Russians are about 10 times more capitalistic than Americans are collectively. Let me repeat that. Russians are about 10 times, probably more capitalistic than Americans are. You actually have to have a basis of comparison. Most Americans, of course, are like me. I'm fat and lazy, right? I mean, obviously fat. They have far better value on intrinsic freedom. Because I've seen a lot of these people, they go to colleges, and they bring a microphone. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence of this on YouTube. They go to college where the pseudo-intellectual fools are at, and they talk to these college students, they think they're so smart. And they're so dumb. They're so incredibly dumb. They have no idea about anything. My point being that Russians have a far better, on average, intrinsic value of freedoms over that of your typical American doofus. Yeah? And by the way, I love Americans. I'm not trying to put Americans down. I'm being honest as someone who has very good perspective. Yes? Ты меня слышишь? Very good perspective between Americans and Russians. I can tell you that the average American really doesn't appreciate, the freedoms that their forefathers and other people, sacrificed their lives for. They really don't. Yeah, this is a fake pipe. I don't actually smoke, by the way. They don't. I mean that, and I can say that as a genuine expert. I'm really keen at observing. My head is on a swivel. It's been on a swivel my entire life. And I'm an expert on Russians. Yes? Ты меня слышишь? I keep saying that, sorry. That's for all the Russian listeners out there. Молодец! Ты понял? Ясно. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. By the way, I speak perfect Russian. You have to talk like you've been smoking unfiltered cigarettes. Yes? Unfiltered cigarettes for about 20 years. Sounds like you speak perfect Russian. That's a stereotype, by the way. I shouldn't do that, but I've snuck up behind more than a few Russians and talked like that, and they got scared. I turned around, they thought like the KGB was tracking them or something. I know the Russian people. I'm so sick of our media, spreading this Russia. It's just like we gotta invent, this enemy to keep the military-industrial complex fed. Without fear, there's a lot of stuff that can't be fed. People fail to realize how much fear feeds things. Some machines, like the MIC, the MIC is short for military industrial complex, is fed by fear. When you throw up false flags and you create this, man, there is nothing that is worse for the MIC than everybody out holding hands and tiptoeing through the tulips. You have to generate fear. You have to gin it up. This is undeniable. All governments are really very guilty of this stuff. Are there Russian hackers? Oh yeah, of course there are. I've even met a few back in the day. There's way more American hackers by percentage. Way more by percentage. It's like, I keep hearing all this ridiculousness. They'll say, oh, it was proven. In some cases this is true. It's proven that some Русские народы did some hacking. So what, Americans? Oh, the amount of hacking that's done by Russian people is like pales in comparison. Utah data center. Google Utah data center. Did I say that loudly? The Utah data center. It pales in comparison to Americans. It really does. I know a lot of Russians here in America. I've interacted with on many levels. And I lived in both, by the way, I forgot to mention this. I lived in both the Soviet Union and in Russia. I lived a few places there. Vladimir, Leningrad, Moscow for a very short period of time. Yes. Ой же, ужасно. Такая ужасная. I'm sorry, I'm having flashbacks. Flashbacks to strolling through Krasny Ploshad at about 2 a.m. and looking over at the Kremlin. Yes, I said 2 a.m. And then flashing back to 2 a.m. walks through Krasny Ploshad, Red Square, and Russian soldiers with Kalashnikovs looking at me. I was like, who's a stupid American in Krasny Ploshad at 2 a.m.? It's a beautiful place, especially Lobное место, looking at the Kremlin. So late at night, it's kind of, the sky is always dreary and foreboding, kind of hideous weather. The summers are about like that big. Yeah, there's a Russian summertime. It's like, here's summer. Oh, it's gone. You missed it. Where was it? Oh yeah, it came. Oh man, Белые ночи в Ленинграде. Sorry, I'm reminiscing. I spent so much time reminiscing about Russia. Let me tell you flat out, as someone who hates politics, yeah, okay, I get along with other people. If you're buying into, this American propaganda nonsense that's designed to feed the MIC, because that's exactly what I call it, because someone on the inside says that's what they call it, the MIC, the military industrial complex. Fear feeds that. You have fear, it's like, fear feeds a lot of things, unfortunately. There's a lot of even normal society that's fed by fear. And I believe in being safe and having security. I'm a former, well, technically former anyway, DOCJT, Department of Criminal Justice Training Division, DOCJT. I used to train people on stuff. So I'm all about security. Fat and tattooed now, obviously so, huh? I just wanted to say that you should really stop believing. Of course, politicians are all lying. Let me use the Russian word, glupые дураки. There's actually some other Russian words I'd like to say for these people. Ужасно. Oi. I was about to say another Russian word, but I don't know if algorithms listen to Russian words or not. It's Sorry. That was a Russian word. You don't want to know what it means. I just really, really felt compelled over these past many years. Because also, too, when I grew up, I was born in 72. I hold this fake pipe here. Just like the fake nonsense that we're all told to believe about the Russians. I feel the Russians! But the Russians are not a concern. I'm sorry, but they're not. And by the way, I'm friends with some Ukrainian people, and I'm sure the Ukrainians would be right now cussing me in Ukrainian because, Russia rolled into part of Ukraine. Krim, например, Krim. Yeah, I've been to Krim. Симферополь, потом автобус на Ялту. Ах, люкс, as they would say in the Russian. So I understand the Ukrainians on that regarding the Russians. I do, so I'm not oblivious to. And this is not, modern events video or anything. I just wanted to point out that if you're believing all this Russian, nonsense that all these politicians are spewing, it's just absolute poppycock. Like I said, I mean, it really is the case that Russians on average are about 10 times more capitalistic, than Americans are. They really, really are, because they have proper perspective, or Americans don't. I mean, most Americans don't anyway. I say that as a loyal American. I say that as someone who's worked for. I could technically say, put me in a lie detector test, that I've done dangerous work for 3-letter government agencies, 2 of them anyway. Yes. Memories. Yes. Memories. Anyway, sorry. I was reminiscing about various things happening. It was fun. Back then, danger was fun, and it's like, yeah, I'm being paid a lot of money to do dangerous stuff. You didn't consider the danger when you were younger like that. It's like, wow, I'm being paid a lot of money to do dangerous. So I've done dangerous stuff for a couple 3-letter agencies. And I am a loyal American. But I tell you, I get along great with Russians, and when I see all this stupid nonsense that's fed to Americans, like, oh, the Russians, there's a lot of Russian bad words I'd like to say right now, but I don't want to offend Russian ears. My real whole point is that I say this as an expert on Russians, having lived there for a long time. Been quite a few places in настоящие крепкие народы, настоящие русские крепкие. Sorry about that. That if that is a fear of yours, you need to drop it, because it's bunk, it's propaganda, it's BS, it's poppycock. It really, really is. The notion that Russia's and of course, I'm not oblivious to history. I mean, I know that the бывшего Советского Союза, they rolled in heavy on Eastern Europe. So those folks from Poland, or, East Germany, Czechoslovakia. Yeah, I know. I'm no ignoramus to history. I'm not. I'm just talking about the people. What governments do is one thing, and what the people are is another. I get along great with Russians. I know Russians. I can actually say I know the Russian heart and soul very well. I've been through every crack and crevice, nearly so, at least it feels like that, of Russian life. And you shouldn't believe all this, ginned up fear and poppycock that governments try to spew about Russia. It really is nonsense. People need to, people on a human level have a lot more in common. They're taught to hate each other by evil governments, and it's just a giant pile of what we call говно. Yeah, giant pile of Look up that word from Russian. Giant pile of говно. So, большое вам спасибо и увидимся. Пожалуйста. I just had to say that about the Russian people. It's just, I'm so sick of hearing it from our government and various ignoramuses, spreading nonsense. And all that fear does is it feeds the machine, and the machine's been fed enough. Life is short and poopy. It's just full of bills and misery and suffering and death. And I'm not going to live my life in fear. No way, no how. Especially not in fear about Russians, which I know the people very well. Yeah. Some Ukrainians might object to this video. I'm friends with Ukrainians. I understand their concerns on things, and also, too, of the history from Eastern Europe. But, I mean, America's done some, and I'm a very loyal American, but, I could point the finger at America as easily as I could pointing the finger at I mean, this is a land of freedom, much less so today. I mean, that's really undeniable. It is much less so today. I find that abysmal considering how many people fought and died for our freedoms that we used to hold so dear. People like don't hold it dear. It's like, I don't like freedoms. We need less freedom of speech and less of this freedom. It's like, are you kidding me? I don't want to talk about that. My video and this video was to talk about the Russian people. And I get along fine with them, and I'm not afraid of them because I know them well, and you really shouldn't be either. It's just ridiculous. It's poppycock. Yeah. Reminded of that old Walt Disney song. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. Remember that one? Maybe that was before your time. So. Большое вам спасибо, увидимся. Пожалуйста.